Have you ever felt like you're living in a world so loud, so fast that you can barely hear your own thoughts anymore? You open your phone, hundreds of notifications flood in, and within seconds your mind is pulled in a dozen different directions. You try to look strong, try to stay in control, but deep down, you know you're exhausted. Exhausted from pretending to be okay. I've been there too. And I've sat for hours with people just like you, entrepreneurs, doctors, artists, people who seem to have everything, yet they all whisper the same words. I don't feel peaceful anymore. You know what's ironic? We live in the most comfortable era in human history, yet our minds have never been more fragile. We have pills to help us sleep, but not the silence to rest. We have thousands of online connections, yet we still feel empty and alone. A friend of mine, a fitness coach in California, once said something that stuck with me. The human body is getting stronger, but the human will is getting weaker. He was right. We train our bodies, but forget to train our minds. And that's exactly where Stoic philosophy comes in. Stoicism isn't some abstract theory reserved for philosophers sitting in ivory towers. It was born on the battlefield in prisons, amid sickness and betrayal. Marcus Aurelius wrote meditations not during quiet tea sessions, but while surrounded by war, fever, and loss. Seneca wrote his letters while facing death, and Epictetus, the man who shaped this philosophy, was once a slave, and yet they all lived with clarity, calmness, and strength. They discovered a way not just to survive life, but to stand unshaken within it. And what's beautiful is those same principles still work today, in the 21st century. I've worked with hundreds of people, those battling divorce, grief, burnout, or depression, and I've realized something profound. Stoicism doesn't heal you through pretty words. It heals you through daily mental training, just like building muscle. Each Stoic law is a mental exercise, a way to stay steady when life begins to shake. Now I want you to imagine this. You wake up one morning and everything feels off. Bad news, harsh comments. A door closes on an opportunity you cared about. But instead of panicking, you stay calm. You don't fake optimism. You're simply peacefully aware. You know what's within your control and what needs to be let go. You don't need praise or validation or an apology, because you understand true strength isn't about controlling the world, it's about mastering yourself. And that is the spirit behind the 11 modern Stoic laws I'm about to share with you. They won't make you perfect, but if you practice them sincerely, even for a few weeks, you'll begin to notice something powerful. Life won't necessarily get easier, but you will get stronger. You'll learn to face pain without fear. You'll stop being controlled by emotion, stop waiting for fairness, stop living for other people's approval. You'll start to live with intention, depth, and honesty in alignment with who you truly are. I'm not saying this as a philosopher in theory. I'm saying it as someone who's fallen apart, lost direction, and felt empty even when everything looked fine on the outside. These 11 Stoic principles helped me rise again, not to conquer the world, but to conquer myself. So today I don't want you to listen to this video as if it's another motivational speech. I want you to listen with your heart and ask yourself, which of these 11 principles am I missing most right now? And if I changed just one thing today, what would my life look like in a month? Because the truth is, no one is born unshakable, but every small choice you make, every mindful breath, every moment you choose to pause instead of react, is another brick laid on the path toward inner peace. And if you're ready, then let's begin this journey together. 11 Stoic laws to build an unshakable mind in modern life. Law 1 Face pain like a loyal trainer. Most people run from pain, but the Stoics never did. They saw pain not as an enemy, but as a teacher. A silent, loyal trainer who pushes you to grow when comfort tries to seduce you. I once worked with a man who lost everything in 6 months: his job, his marriage, his sense of purpose. He said to me, "I just want life to get easier." And I told him, "No, you don't need an easier life. You need to become stronger." Pain doesn't destroy you, it reveals you. It shows you where your weakness hides, where your courage is tested, where your character begins to form. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Welcome pain as you would a training exercise." So this man began small, waking up early, working out again, journaling every morning, refusing to complain for one whole day. 6 months later, he was not the same person. He said, "I don't fear struggle anymore. I know pain is just my personal gym. The next time life hurts, don't run. Ask instead, what is this pain trying to train in me? Because every discomfort you face willingly becomes a push-up for your soul." Law 2, don't be a slave to emotion. Epictetus said, "Any person capable of angering you becomes your master." Think about it. One rude comment can ruin your entire day. One post online can steal your peace. And in that moment, who's really in control? The Stoics didn't suppress emotion, they studied it. They learned to observe anger, sadness, jealousy, like watching clouds pass through the sky. Feel deeply, yes, but choose wisely. I once coached a successful businessman who lost his temper almost daily. He'd yell, slam the table, and then regret it hours later. We tried one simple practice. Pause for 10 seconds before reacting. After 3 weeks, he said, "I didn't lose my emotions. I just regained the right to choose my response." That's Stoic mastery. Your feelings are messengers, not masters. The moment you stop being dragged by every emotional storm, you begin to steer your own ship. Law 3, let go of fairness. Life owes you nothing. You can do everything right. Work hard, love deeply, stay loyal, and still end up betrayed, overlooked, or hurt. And your mind screams, "It's not fair." But fairness is a human illusion. Nature doesn't reward effort. The lion doesn't apologize to the antelope. Storms don't skip over the homes of kind people. A woman once came to me after a painful divorce. She said, "Wes, why do I always give my best and still get hurt?" And I told her, "And because life isn't fair." But you can still be fair. To yourself, the Stoic doesn't cry, "Why me?" They ask, "What now?" They don't demand fairness from the world, they train for reality. When you stop begging life to be gentle, you start becoming strong. When you stop expecting fairness, you finally begin to live free. Law 4, focus on what you can control. Imagine you're sailing through a storm. You can't calm the sea, you can't change the wind, but you can hold the wheel. That's Stoicism in one sentence. Don't waste your strength on what's beyond your reach. Focus on what's within your hands. I once met a mother heartbroken over her teenage son who had fallen into gaming addiction. She said, "I've tried everything to change him, but I can't." I asked, "What can you control right now?" She paused, then said, "I can change the way I respond. I can stay calm instead of shouting." 3 months later, her son began changing on his own, not because she forced him, but because he felt the peace inside her. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this and you will find strength. The world is chaos, but the space between stimulus and response, that's your kingdom. And when you master that space, no one can take your peace away. Law 5, Sur. Choose hardship before life chooses it for you. Seneca used to sleep on the floor, wear rough clothes, and eat plain food, not out of misery, but out of mastery. He wanted to ask himself, if I lost it all, could I still stand tall? That's what the Stoics called voluntary hardship, the art of training your spirit before the storm arrives. Because if you only grow when forced to, you'll always be one step behind life. In one of my workshops, we ran something called the Week of Discomfort. Every participant had to do one difficult thing each day: take a cold shower, skip social media, walk in silence, or fast for 12 hours. And almost all of them said the same thing. I feel stronger, not because life got easier, but because I proved I can endure. Comfort dulls the edge of the soul. Every time you choose the easy path, you shrink a little. But when you willingly step into discomfort, you grow in ways comfort could never offer. So skip the elevator, speak your truth, sit with silence, because if you train your mind to stay calm in voluntary hardship, you'll be unshakable when the real storms come. Law 6. Let go of results, fall in love with the process. Have you ever worked so hard, yet the outcome wasn't what you expected? You poured your heart into a project, and no one noticed. You loved deeply, but the person walked away. And you asked yourself, why does it all feel meaningless? The truth is, no effort is ever wasted. You're just looking in the wrong direction. The Stoics never defined their worth by the result, but by the effort itself. I once worked with a young artist who painted every day and shared her work online, but no one cared. One day she broke down crying. Maybe I'm not good enough. I told her, you're not lacking talent, you're just placing your faith in the wrong place. You don't paint to be praised, you paint to be honest with yourself. When you let go of results, you rediscover joy in the work itself. The Stoic knows you can't control how the world reacts, but you can control how you show up each day. I work with intensity, not with expectation. And strangely, the moment you stop needing validation, people start to notice. When you stop chasing results, you become free. Law 7, so it is said, face death, live urgently, and with purpose. It sounds dark, but the Stoics constantly reminded themselves. Memento mori. Remember you must die, not to live in fear, but to live awake. I once asked my coaching group, if today were your last day, what would you do differently? Most people went silent. One said quietly, I'd apologize to my mother. Another whispered, I'd finally tell her I love her, instead of waiting for the perfect moment. Death makes everything clear. When you realize your time is limited, you stop postponing life. You stop wasting hours scrolling your phone or letting days fade into numbness. Seneca once said, it's not that life is short, it's that we waste most of it. The Stoic lives each day as if it's borrowed time. They don't wait for happiness, they live it right here, right now. Law 8, accept reality as it is, and this is perhaps the hardest lesson, and the root of all peace. The Stoic doesn't try to change the world first, they change the way they see it. Acceptance isn't surrender, it's stopping the argument with what already happened. A friend of mine was fired after 15 years at his job. He was angry, bitter, ready to sue. Then he came across a quote by Marcus Aurelius. If you are distressed by anything external, it's not the thing itself that troubles you, but your judgment about it. He started to reflect. Maybe that job no longer served him. Maybe losing it was the door he needed to open a new chapter. 2 years later, he started his own company and told me, losing that job wasn't a tragedy. It was a gift wrapped in pain. Acceptance frees your energy from resentment and directs it toward what you can do. The world doesn't have to bend to your will, you just have to learn to move with it. Law 9, stay calm. Amid modern chaos, noise today doesn't just come from the streets, it's buzzing right inside your phone. Emails, messages, endless breaking news, and you wonder why you're exhausted, even when you've done nothing physical all day. For the Stoic, stillness isn't about escaping the world, it's about staying steady in the storm of information. I once worked with a startup founder in Silicon Valley. a man always on. He spoke fast, reacted faster, and barely slept. I told him to try one simple practice. 1 hour of silence a day. No music, no podcast, no phone, just stillness. The first week, he hated it. The second week, he began to notice his breathing. By the third, he told me, I realized when I'm silent, the world doesn't fall apart. But when I'm not, I do. In an age of noise, stillness is a superpower. Not everyone can stand still, and this is so. But those who can, travel the farthest. Law 10. Turn silence into the power of action. Modern people talk too much and act too little. We react instantly, argue instantly, explain instantly, but the Stoic knows timely silence is strength. Epictetus said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." I once coached a CEO who constantly interrupted others in meetings. I challenged him, "Let everyone finish before you speak." 3 weeks later he said, "I didn't just learn to listen to others, I learned to listen to myself." Silence doesn't mean passivity, it's the discipline to pause, to choose the right action instead of the fast one. And when your actions come from stillness, every word, every move carries weight. When the world gets loud, I choose silence. When I am silent, I choose to act. Law 11. Live for virtue, not for applause. In the age of likes and followers, the hardest thing is doing the right thing. It's watching. The Stoic doesn't live for approval, they live for integrity. Marcus Aurelius said, "Just do the right thing. The rest doesn't matter." A young student once told me she was constantly anxious trying to live up to social media's expectations, to look perfect, sound perfect, be perfect. I asked her, if the internet disappeared for a week, would you still live the same way? She paused, smiled, and said, "Maybe I'd finally live honestly." That's the Stoic way, choosing character over popularity, truth over comfort. Because applause fades after 5 seconds, but virtue endures for a lifetime. I live for what's right, not for recognition. These 11 principles aren't separate boxes, they're 11 pieces of one strong soul. Each one is a lesson, a daily practice. When you face pain, you learn resilience. When you let go of results, you find freedom. When you live for virtue, you discover peace. No one can do it for you. But every small choice, every act of awareness, builds the foundation of an unshakable mind. When I first started living the Stoic way, I thought it would make me cold. But I was wrong. Stoicism doesn't harden you, it deepens you. Because life isn't light, you'll be misunderstood, betrayed, left behind. You'll give everything, and sometimes it won't be enough, and in those moments, Stoicism whispers, "Things may get worse, but you will still be okay." The Stoic doesn't run from storms. They stand in the middle of them, clear-headed, calm-hearted. They don't chase a perfect world. They train themselves to stand firm in an imperfect one. I once asked a student, "What makes a strong person?" She said, "Someone who never falls." I smiled. No, strength isn't about never falling. It's about rising again, with peace in your heart. That's what these 11 Stoic laws offer you. Not superhuman perfection, but the power to be fully human, grounded, present, and unshakably calm. If you've made it this far, pause for a moment, take a deep breath, and ask yourself, which law will I begin practicing today? You don't need all 11, just one, because once you begin, your inner world begins to shift. Marcus Aurelius said, "Peace comes not by escaping life, but by accepting it with strength of mind." If something in this message made your soul feel a little lighter, a little more awake, I want to invite you to stay on this journey with me. Here on Stoic Awakening More, every video isn't just philosophy, Yeah, it's a quiet conversation between you and yourself, because sometimes just one timely thought is enough to change how you see the world. If this video spoke to you, please like, share, and subscribe to Stoic Awakening more. Not to escape life, but to learn how to live it stronger within it. Remember, life doesn't ask you to be perfect. It only asks you to have a mind that cannot be shaken. And that is the true essence of Stoicism.